So, my name is Rocky Caravelli. I'm the founder of the Awakening in the Dream Group, which is a continuation of the Awakening in the Dream House, which was in San Pancho, Nayarit. I came to Mexico in 2003 to originally do my own detox off of methamphetamine, heroin, and methadone, 80 milligrams, and that's how I found ibogaine, and came down in 2003 to Tijuana and went through the process, and 3 weeks later returned and became the house manager and supervisor, and eventually I was a sitter, and basically got trained in a medically supervised detox ibogaine center called the Ibogaine Association. After that, I went back to Oregon after working with about 75 people under a standardized protocol. So I got to see a lot of the ups and downs of that approach. It was a real opportunity to be an observer and not be carrying the responsibilities. And I got to see some things that were a direct effect of irresponsibility and poor screening, which was something that I started putting in my little bag for future reference. When I got to Oregon, I did some underground work, working only out of my home or out of other people's homes. I couldn't work out of motels and stuff like that. It didn't feel like a stable environment. And even under those conditions, I started realizing that people have an opportunity to be able to just go down the road and score, and this is creating a risk, and decided after my third session working with the iboga, and specifically ibogaine, my third session, I was introduced to Bwiti by a woman who had been to Africa and had worked with Bernadette Riponnet, which is one of the 13 grandmothers, and I had met Bwiti. And during that session, I had already met the spirit of the plant in my first experience, so I was familiar with it, but this third session, I had basically done my own personal cleanup work from my addiction, and I was able to receive the message of my next project. It was very specific in the details of what it wanted for us to create here in Mexico. Again, we were generally focused specifically on chemical dependency, and so we had a licensed medical detox center in San Pancho, Nayarit for 10 years. Worked with around 800 people, all safely. And that project basically ended in 2016. And since then, we've been here in San Miguel. I came a year early, and then Asha finished up. But now we've created the Awakening in the Dream Group, which is basically an extension of the tribe that was created as a result of the people who had taken ibogaine for the first time in many cases, some of them for the second time, to overcome addiction. And so we're wanting to continue to provide our services for those people, including myself, who are basically on the path of recovery now. In the beginning, it was just about, stopping the bleeding, so to speak, the train wreck of active addiction. And it had tremendous reward in being able to help young people save 15 years of their life and change the course of where the direction of their life was going. And so, again, we're here now in San Miguel and wanting to work specifically on people's root causes and sources of anxiety or depression or whatever it is that basically pushes people towards self-medicating with other drugs and alcohol or whatever. So this has been a real challenge for us. Of course, we've had the COVID thing going on, so we're basically haven't been receiving clients for the last couple months, but we are now in a position where we're looking forward. We rebuilt a new website, which is the one that you're seeing now. Of course, the old website, awakeningindthedream.com, still has a lot of good information on chemical dependency and drug treatment. But what we're trying to do now is we're not only integrating psychospiritual and psychotherapeutic benefits using the whole plant, in other words, in the total alkaloid extraction, but we're using combinations of different extracts, which has become really supportive for continued growth in the recovery process from whatever type of trauma or effect that life has basically dealt you with. So I just wanted to do a brief bio. I know that people like to see who they're dealing with up front. You know, I came from a good background in Marin County. I worked hard all my life, raised kids, was married to Asha for 8 years, and had 2 children with her. And you know, and then addiction came and took it all away from us. So this has been a whole process in our family, and in basically reuniting our family as a whole. And our daughter's down here. She's been working with me from the beginning. And now Asha came on 10 years ago. So we're just wanting to introduce ourselves back into the circle of the Ibogaine community, which we are familiar with. But we played it pretty quiet for the last 4 or 5 years, so we're kind of coming back out again. And it feels like it's a really opportune time. It feels like the medicine is on the move. In other words, I always thought that, you know, the world is going to hear about Ibogaine, and everybody is going to be on billboards across the United States, you know, to take Ibogaine for drug addiction. And it just didn't do that. It's basically slowly delivered itself into our Western culture, and we've been able to basically adjust to the conditions to be able to work with it safely. It comes from a long tradition in Africa, where a whole community provides the session, and not just like 1 or 2 people. And so it's come in slow waves so that we could basically digest and understand and learn how to work with this medicine safely and effectively. It was a great opportunity to work with a guy from Africa for 6 months. It helped to bring the traditions of Iboga and Ibogaine together into a holistic presentation that we can do here in Mexico. And so I just want to invite people to give us a call. We're not doing that much detox work, but we'll consider it. But we're always open to discussing things with people. We have a tremendous amount of information from all of the work that we've done, so we're willing to share that with people. And I'm hoping that this is a positive step in the next chapter of Ibogaine comes to the West. Thank you.